All right, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Tuesday. A couple things to talk about this afternoon. First, I'll start with the recap from yesterday. The Orioles made me a 3-1 winner as they figured out a way to win 7-4. I'll take the 3-1. O'Hearn hit the home run, so that was great. Holiday, no bueno on that. But I guess where I feel like I got lucky. So the money line went. I think I wrote it in there. It was like minus 147, minus 148 when it first came out, went all the way down. When I saw it, minus 124. So that felt like great value for the Orioles. And under 4.5, barely held on as we gave up 4 runs. So it's nice to go 3-1. Didn't feel like we dominated the night, but we'll take it. And it led me to wanting to talk about the first baseball thing today because it was brought to my attention earlier this year. I don't know, frankly, if it was available last year, but now that it is, it's what I think is going to be the best value here betting on baseball moving forward when you like a favorite. So, all right, wanted to pull it up, make sure it's in front of me and get this right. We're going to use the Orioles for an example. They're minus 164 right this second. So minus 164 on the money line and minus 119 minus 1 run, not minus 1.5, which has always been available. It's always been money line and then run line, which means minus 1.5. Never like doing minus 1.5, especially when it's a home team because they might not bat in the ninth inning. But even when it's a road team, baseball, it's hard enough to win the freaking game. I don't know, weird things can happen. I just don't like the minus 1.5. So never really paid much attention. Excuse me. And now the fact that you can bet minus 1, and that's on DraftKings, what I'm looking at, but I assume you can bet these, at all these different apps, whatever's available to you. If you can find minus 1, let's just talk it through, not to be funny, but you can't win a game by half a run, right? So the worst things that happen is that you push and it's a no bet, but you're lowering your risk by, instead of risking 1,600 bucks, or I guess 1,640 to win 1,000, if you just want to use round numbers, where to take the Orioles on the money line tonight, you're risking all the way down. It's 550 bucks less that you're risking, right? In order to be able to take minus 1, knowing that you wouldn't be able to lose if you like the Orioles. So my thought process is if you like the favorite enough, right, that means you think they're going to win the game. You probably think they're going to win by more than 1 run, or you wouldn't want to put your money down on minus 160, minus 170, minus 180. But instead of doing the minus 1.5, where you can get burned at the end, be conservative and just do minus 1. Say, you know what, I really, really like the favorite tonight. I just don't want to risk that much money. So it's not like football, right? Where it's the spread and you're like, man, I really, really, really like this team. So I'll just give the minus 3, minus 4, and then they're winning by 8, 9, 10 points, and you get backdoored at the end. Can't get backdoored doing minus 1. You can get backdoored minus 1.5. So with that bet now available, that's where I'm going to be leaning, especially since I'm the one doing Orioles every single day. I like tonight. Excuse me. Still battling this, whatever the hell is going on out here, these allergies. But all right. Anyway, so if I love the Orioles, which it's hard not to love them again tonight with Grayson pitching, I don't want to do minus 140, 145 is like the most. Once I see it above 145, I feel guilty. I feel guilty counting it as like a win because you get to a certain favorite and I don't know, at that point, instead of my win-loss record, I'm better off, putting out exactly how much money we're making and whatever. So that it becomes complicated. I don't like advising. Anybody knows that if it's a big favorite, okay, great. So instead of saying Orioles minus 164 tonight, if I end up liking the Orioles, it'll just be minus 1 at minus 119. And I'll say, hey, you know what? If they win by 1 run, I don't make any money tonight, but I can't lose anything that way. We'll never be minus 1.5, but I do. I love the minus 1. I think it's great value. I think it makes a ton of sense. It's a little bit more conservative, but yeah, I don't love, like last night, for example, my 2 prop bets were both plus 120. I typically, I'm going to try my best to have good value where it's like minus 105, minus 110, minus 115, minus 120. I don't like getting too much higher than that. But like I said, my cutoff is 145. I think that's at that point, the value, especially in baseball, I'm more likely to recommend minus 145, minus 150, minus 155 in NFL or college football money line betting, maybe NBA playoffs money line, March Madness money line. I like that better than baseball just because of the variance, right? Like each team's going to lose 60 games. So I just don't love it. Anyway, all right. I think that's that. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, if anything I'm saying, whoever's listening, right? If anything I'm saying, feel free to message me, email me. I'm happy to clarify. So I think that's that for baseball. And now to touch on the NBA playoffs for a second. Look, they're gonna these games drive me insane. So they drive me insane for two reasons. One, I assume they're gonna try their hardest, right? So what was it, the Grizzlies last year? Now I can't remember. I want to say it was last year. It could be last year or the year before. But somehow it was game 6 against the Lakers and they lost by 40. And I was like, how can you lose by 40 in an elimination game? So I thought they were gonna try their hardest. Sometimes I don't even know. That's number one. And then number two, I hate the way the game is played. It's hard for me to handicap these NBA games when I don't particularly enjoy it. So I haven't watched a ton of regular season. I'm looking forward to watching. What I'll do is I'll basically watch as much as I can, and if something jumps out, I'll certainly offer it. But I'm just not going to force anything. Like there's things that jump out at me as far as like a value. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. But as far as handicapping these games, game 1, game 2, game 3, it's really going to be difficult. So unless something, where it's like, man, I think these odds are way off, or we're getting a ton of value, you're not going to see too much NBA action from me. Maybe some prop bets that'll feel like where I can get some value. But I wanted to point this out because we have the play-in tournament, and bear with me one second. So the way the play-in tournament works is tonight we'll have 7 versus 8, 9 versus 10 in the West, and then 7 versus 8, 9 versus 10 in the East. 9, 10 losers eliminated, and then the winner of the 7-8 matchups, the 7, end up becoming 7 seed, and then the loser will face the winner of the 9, 10. So we get action 2 games tonight, 2 games tomorrow, and then a game on Thursday and a game on Friday. So let's see what makes the most sense. Instead of betting individual games, let's see, where is it? One second. Make the playoffs. So let's say, and I think the Heat and you can't even do it for the Sixers right this second. All right, so let me just go over these odds and tell me if this. Hopefully this makes sense, right? Tell me. Not like anybody can talk back to me. The Heat are plus 375 to miss the playoffs, minus 500 to make the playoffs. They essentially get 2 games. If you think they're going to miss the playoffs, plus 375, that's there. I don't know if I love that. But this is what I do like. The Bulls are plus 425, and the Hawks are plus 575. Excuse me. So the Hawks and the Bulls play tonight. No idea who's going to win that game. No clue whatsoever. But let's say you do. Let's say you have a hunch. Bulls, Hawks. Bulls are favored in the game. But let's just say whatever. You like the Bulls. You like the Hawks. Instead of betting that game tonight, bet on one of those teams to make the playoffs. Because you get the Bulls at plus 425, Hawks at plus 575. Whoever wins the game tonight will certainly not be more than a 2-1 favorite, if that, when they play the Sixers or the Heat. So the Heat play the Sixers, and the Hawks play the Bulls. So the loser of the Heat Sixers will then host the winner of the Hawks Bulls. That spread 7, 8, 9 points at the absolute most. And let's say it could be maybe plus 240, 250, 260 on the money line. So if you like the Hawks, if you like the Bulls, they don't play tonight, they play tomorrow night. But I would bet them to make the playoffs. And then same thing in the West. So the West is the Lakers and the Pelicans tonight, and the Warriors and the Kings. If you like the Lakers to win the game tonight, so the Lakers are minus 450 and plus 340, minus 450 to make the playoffs, plus 340 to miss it. I think most people like the Lakers to beat the Pelicans tonight just because they beat them, on Sunday. So let's just say you like the Lakers. The Pelicans to miss the playoffs are plus 340. So that would be the same logic as the Bulls Hawks winner. If you want to bet against the Pelicans, because the Pelicans are going to have to play the winner of the Kings and the Warriors. So that feels like a 50-50 game. So whoever you thought was going to lose tonight, Lakers Pelicans, bet on them to miss the playoffs. And then likewise, Warriors to make the playoffs and the Kings to make the playoffs. Whoever you think is going to win the game tonight, bet on them to make the playoffs. So just a quick recap. Hopefully this makes sense. Instead of picking these 4 games, tonight's 2 games and tomorrow's 2 games, bet on who you think is going to make or miss the playoffs and use the odds that are given to you. So therefore, you can hedge your bet, especially if you're going to live bet. There's so many runs in the NBA. So if you're right about the team, they get up on, let's just say you take the Bulls for sake of argument. They beat the Hawks tonight. Now the Bulls are playing the Heat. They're playing the Sixers first quarter. Bulls are winning 14-5. And crazy things happen. Like that's not the craziest thing in the world, right? For the Bulls to get off to a hot start. Next thing you know, you can take the Sixers, -1 or +2 or something like that, and you've hedged your bet. So now you're in a great position to only make money. So these are the types of things where, again, if you're doing this to make money, right? If it's beyond the entertainment, you got to think about, do I live bet? And it's just like day trading. If you're just want to put your money in a particular stock or a fund and not look at it for a few months, then go for it. If you're the type that wants to be hands-on and you want to play the market, it's the same thing as sports betting. That's how you get an edge. You figure out where there's value, have a good opinion. One of these 4 teams is going to get hot. I just don't know who it is. I don't know. When I say one of these 4 teams, I mean one of these 9 or 10 seeds. Warriors, Kings, and Hawks, Bulls. Like one of those teams is going to make the playoffs. I would almost bet on that. I don't know if you can. I'm sure you can. That's probably a prop that you can bet on. But one of those 4 teams is going to win back-to-back games. And that's just, I have that feeling. I think that's where the odds are. I just don't know who it's going to be. So if you feel like, hey, I got a good feeling, it's certainly not the Warriors. Well, what does that mean? You like the Kings to win tonight? Well, if that's the case, then take the Kings to make the playoffs, knowing what I just said. You can hedge them against their second game, or just let it ride and get better odds. So, all right, hopefully that made sense. I will hop on here again tomorrow. Just to recap, when you're betting these favorites, right? Because now we're in a good position here with the Orioles. Jumped out, to a little bit of a slow start. Now we're 10-6, especially when we're home. Grayson's pitching, Corbin's pitching. When Means comes back and Bradish, you're going to get big, big numbers. Tonight is not tremendous. -164 is what I'm looking at right this second. Lower it down, all the way down to -119. Make it -1, and just say, I can't lose tonight. And if I'm wrong about the game, then I'm saving myself a ton of money on the juice, because it's going to add up as I hate being negative, right? Because the whole point of doing the -1 is saying, well, what if I'm wrong about the game? Like that's the premise of it. And so, wait till the end of the podcast to actually say it like that. But that's the logic, right? Like if we're wrong about Grayson tonight, if I go through the lineup and I'm like, man, love the Orioles tonight, love Grayson. If I'm wrong, let me not make any money tonight, but save it on the juice. Like I'd rather do it that way for long-term betting, and to each his own. If you disagree, then that's up to you. So, okay, I don't think that's like the public money situation where there's not a different way to look at it. I'm totally open-minded when it's like, hey, this is just my advice, my thought process, but it doesn't mean it's the right one. And then there's other topics where, the passion will come out and say there's no other opinion. Like the public money stuff, where the money's going, it's impossible to track it, impossible to figure it out, and it's a shortcut. So don't take it. Try to do your own work. And I guess that's that. So have a good night and good luck today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.